We have different beliefs on if this should happen. I think this definitely should not happen. I already think there's a huge disparity between the best NBA team's best player, like let's say Shea, and then the worst team's best player. And let's say that's MPJ. No, let's say that's like Alex Sarr, because that's really what it is. Unless you count Trae Young or Anthony Davis. Or let's say Lowry Markkanen.
You could easily say like Domantas Sabonis. Too.
Oh yeah, or
like,
Domantas Sabonis.
Or Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan or whoever the best player on that.
I just feel like if the NBA expands to 2 more teams, that disparity is only going to get more. I do think there's already so much going on in the NBA every single day that adding more teams would just kind of lower the quality of each team and just lower the quality of the product in general. I'm under the belief we should lower the teams. And I know it'll never happen, but let's talk about rivalries for a second. I truly do feel like the more teams that are added in the league, the less of a chance a rivalry is to form because you're playing that team less. Now, do I think there could be 32 teams in the NBA and rivalries could happen? Yes. If they took a more of like an NFL approach where they kind of erased the whole idea of conferences and then just made it divisions. So you play every team at least twice, but you play one team like 6 times a year. I think that would be amazing. I don't mean for the NBA to copy the NFL, but I just think there will be we already complained about no rivalries. I think that if there's more teams, that's going to happen less. The only rivalry that could form is between like this Las Vegas team and the Seattle team. The good of it could come from New Orleans or Minnesota going to the East, because for some reason those are Western Conference teams. Now that we're adding 2 easily Western Conference teams, one of those guys can go in the East. Now it'd probably be Minnesota. Not because it's more East than Louisiana, which it might be, but because you need the East to get a little better.
And the thing is, from a team perspective, the East isn't bad, but if you want to talk about marketability, you want Ant in the East. That just becomes his conference if you put him in the East.
Ant gets to play at a time where people in the East Coast could actually watch him and the West Coast will watch him. Like that'd be a huge win-win.
I like the idea of expansion, although I do acknowledge your point, which is that we do have a lot of teams right now in the NBA, and it's already hard to follow all of them because they play every night. And that's what makes the NFL so great. In a lot of ways, is the nature of the sport dictates that the teams can only play once a week, and that means that you know what happens in every team's game every week. From a logistical perspective, divisions don't make a ton of sense. And it's something people complain about in the NFL every year. Like, are you kidding me? This 9-8 team made the playoffs and they get a home game over this 12-5 team that they're going to be playing in the wild card or whatever. But the Panthers almost beat the Rams.
And even if they don't, and it's a huge blowout, now the whole regular season is way more competitive. And then in the playoffs, it's one bad game. And then the rest of the playoffs are still competitive.
Right.
Versus it's just not as competitive in the NBA in the regular season. But sure, I guess technically it's more fair in the playoffs, even though it's going to be a 1-8 seed anyway, and it's going to be a huge blowout.
And I would just rather see teams care about their rivalries during the regular season. The Oklahoma City Thunder and the Spurs are a great budding rivalry, but that is almost an anomaly in a lot of ways because of how Victor Wembanyama perceives Chet Holmgren, because the Spurs managed to beat the Thunder 3 times in a row to start the season, to start their season series. Because all of these things lined up, it is a budding rivalry. And obviously we've talked about it on this channel, and we've had people give their opinions as to whether it is a rivalry or it's not a rivalry, or whether certain players are correct in saying that it is or is not. I think that they are a playoff series away from this being a true rivalry, if you want to even say that it's not.
I believe so.
Right? So, but that is an anomaly, right? We could have that for so many different teams. Teams in the NFL just hate the teams in their division. And it doesn't matter if they're good, doesn't matter if they're bad, doesn't matter where each of the teams is at. Two ass teams could play in the same division, and fans are tuning in to watch that game because they hate that other team. This is what it drives. It drives interest, not just for the good teams when they're good, but for the bad teams when they're bad, for the good and bad teams playing each other, for all of this, right? All of a sudden, your team who's out of the playoffs, their game in the middle of March matters a lot to you because, yeah, I really want to beat my division rival that is up on me in the division, has been so good all year. I want to get one up on them. You know what I mean? Like, it just drives a lot more interest. I wouldn't even be mad at the NBA going to like 6 divisional games that each team plays during the season, or even like 8 or something crazy like that, and making it more proportional to how the NFL does it, because I want to see those teams play. I don't really care about Eastern and Western Conference teams playing in the regular season. I got to be honest with you. I don't think I need to see every team play each other during the regular season, but I want to see Teams develop rivalries and competitions with one another. And then imagine how much more interesting that makes the end of the year when they do stack. They could stack a bunch of divisional games at the end of the year. And then all of a sudden, the last week of the season determines whether you are the 3 seed or the 7 seed.
That actually would be, yeah.
That'd be pretty fire. Yeah. Or whether you make the playoffs or miss them entirely.
And yeah, I definitely still think because of it is an 82 game season, there should always be one home game and one away game for each team in the NBA. Like you get to put every team gets to play every team in the NBA twice. I think that's just only fair with that many games. But there's no reason for it to be 3 to 4 games in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it does not matter that much. But the Hawks and the Knicks. Also, I was thinking the Spurs and the Jazz. Yeah, like those two teams, they have no reason to be a rivalry. But then you look at like I'm trying to think of like the Ravens and the Browns or something like that. We're like the Browns are always bad and the Ravens are always good.
Like
but they're gonna always hate each other and want to beat each other.
And then it also creates, like you talk about the whole play-in thing. Yeah, is it kind of dumb that these teams are always in the play-in every year? Yeah, but the Heat and the Hawks play each other in the play-in almost every year. Can you imagine if they were in the same division too? Like in that actually, and they are in this. Imagine if they were in the same division. Yeah, they're in the same division, dumbass. But
guess what?
But imagine if it actually mattered. Imagine if it actually mattered.
There's not even a reason right now for you to know that.
No,
there isn't. So bringing it back though to the expansion. That's just why personally I believe expansion shouldn't happen. I could see a couple positives happening. Obviously the drama and all the memes and how funny it'd be to see who gets protected, who doesn't. That'd be cool. I obviously want to in my because I've only been like a true NBA fan for like 11 years. So I've never like actually seen an expansion happen while I've been a super fan. So like, I think it'd be cool to witness that. It'd be cool to see a franchise, get it from the ground up. But like, besides that, I think after a couple years, I would just it would just end up being even worse.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I'd like it is, I mean, yeah, right now we could do 6 divisions of 5 teams. And then if we go to 32 teams like the NFL, we could do 8 divisions of 4 teams.
Yeah.
But you were arguing for it earlier. Is there
for expansion?
Yeah,
because I think.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, there are players in the NBA who deserve a chance and should probably get more opportunity that don't. I think that's what a lot of people argue. But who cares? I'm gonna be honest, because like these guys who aren't given a chance, they're not gonna become superstars. They're not gonna become all stars, most likely. I'm a big NBA fan, and I love watching role players, and I love role players and that. But these superstar like teams being more even throughout means so much more to me than that, than seeing the role players thrive. And I'm someone who I want to talk about the NBA and basketball and sports and whatever in general full time. But yeah, I work 40 hours a week now. I don't have time to even keep up with these 30 NBA teams, let alone 32.
But if it was a divisional race, you could look at that and be like, "Oh wow, I've got to circle this game." All of a sudden, Knicks Celtics, which is already usually a great game between two storied franchises that have very intense fan bases, now it becomes even more. Now it becomes about the division, about the playoff spot, about the home playoff series. These two teams might even end up playing each other in the playoffs, and this series might determine who gets the home court advantage in that playoff series.
You know what was supposed to change this? Which I don't think anyone, maybe I believed it a little bit. It's supposed to be the in-season tournament. But there's still zero incentive to care about the in-season tournament.
It doesn't affect anything.
It doesn't affect anything. No rivalries are ever going to come of it. I think I was defending it, thinking maybe it could, because I thought they'd change the rules eventually to make it so that there's way more incentive. There's not. Isn't it still just money?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's cool. Money's cool, but like,
so
they have enough of it.
I guess my biggest advocacy I could have for expansion is that I understand these guys aren't going to be all-stars. They're not going to be superstars. They're not going to be this and that. But that's what gives sports character, is those guys that aren't going to be the greatest, but they still get an opportunity to shine. I feel like the reason people don't appreciate the talent level that's in the NBA right now is because so much of it is stuck on these bad teams. If you at least had somewhat of a reason to care about that talent, people would appreciate it. People find a way to appreciate people on bad teams and in bad situations when it comes to sports. It happens a lot, and I think it would happen in the NBA. And also, I think expansion would drive a divisional realignment and a conference realignment, which the NBA desperately needs right now.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I just don't think people are even watching they'll find ways to enjoy Nets hoops, but most people aren't watching Nets hoops. And so I guess like for someone who's really into it, I think expansion could be great. But you, especially as a commissioner, as a business, you are going to cater to people who are more casual, and I actually think this would make it worse for the casual viewer.